It's finally here. It's the college football playoffs. Joe Aguirre, Jason Garcia, Sean Scanlon, and myself will get you caught up with the news in college football. Plus, a review of the New Year's Six bowl games, predict the Heisman winner, and a special invite to our Capital One Bowl Mania Challenge. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It's All Four Downs Podcast presented by the CMG Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Jawing About the G-Men, the Giants football podcast. I'm your host, Big Jason. I will be joined shortly by Ovi Muniz, Joe Aguirre, and Sean Scanlon. But before we get things started, let's address the Giants. And boy, oh boy, that was a hard game to watch. That soft zone coverage, Baker Mayfield eating it up. That was just not the Giants that we've seen the past couple weeks. These past 2 weeks have been tough, been very, very tough. And then we had that struggle. Joe Judge choosing to go for it on 2 4th and goals. It was rough. But guys, there's still hope. There is still a shimmer of light that the Giants can get into the playoffs. And a shimmer of light the Giants can take the NFC East. So we have to believe. If you are a true Giants fan, you have to believe in Big Blue because Daniel Jones is back and we got this. We got this. Let's go. But first, let's bring on the rest of the crew and let us talk about last week's game. Starting off with you, Joe. You switched your pick during the pregame show, and, man, it did not pay off.
Well, it's funny. I originally said the score would be 20-13 Browns, and then I changed it to 23-22 or some nonsense like that. I should have stuck with my first pick.
Yeah.
Look, I think I want to be clear about a couple of things. Trevor Keys yesterday on Keys to the City referred to the Giants' success earlier this year as fool's gold, and I said, no, I don't think so. I think this is a team. When you look at the run the Giants were on, the 4-game winning streak, which, as I've mentioned before, could have been an 8-game winning streak had they finished out those 4 games like they should have and could have, where, again, you'd be talking about a completely different New York Giants football team, but unfortunately, we're dealing with what we're dealing with. Overcoming the loss of Saquon Barkley, getting this defense to play well together, fixing the offensive line, who have obviously struggled the last couple of weeks. Although they played better. They played better this week for sure. It made sense to go with Colt McCoy. I tell you what, guys, I didn't hate the going for it. I'd have preferred 3 on that first drive, but I liked the aggressiveness. I thought coming out with McCoy throwing the football around a little bit, I enjoyed that a lot. I thought that was great. It really helped loosen things up for the Giants. But end of the day, their biggest problem is what I've been saying for a few weeks now. It's still very glaring. When you need a completion, when you need to make a big play, there's nobody you can rely on. There's not that one stud guy to rely on, and it puts the Giants in a really tough spot. The defense, look, we could criticize the zone defense, but without James Bradberry there, I think that the defense had a pretty tall task. The secondary's a little bit banged up. Without Bradberry, I think the idea was to let Baker Mayfield beat him. and Baker did what he's been doing. He was just good enough to win. And I mean, at the end of the day, giving up 20 to Cleveland, when you think about how that defense played and you think about the lost opportunities the Giants had, this isn't the worst loss that these guys had, honestly, in my opinion. The fact that you just gave up one sack, I still am optimistic. I just feel like, look, the Giants have too many things against them. But to me, the Giants can hang with anybody in the league, and I think once you get a healthy Jones and a healthy Saquon Barkley, and you add some sort of offensive talent in the draft, I think you're looking at a really good team. I don't know how this year is going to end. I'm not as optimistic as I was a couple of weeks ago, but it'll be interesting to see if Daniel Jones is healthy, if he comes back, what he can do, and if he's healthy and he can be productive. I still think the Giants, if they make the playoffs, could win a playoff game. I think now the giant task at hand is whether or not they're going to even make the playoffs, Sean.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the going for the fourth down on the first drive, but I think when you're in a big game like that and you know that you have an offense that struggles to score the ball, I think that you have to come away with the points and kick the field goal there. I think you got to set the tone early, especially when you're going against a team that's one of the better teams in the NFL. You got to get on the scoreboard. And instead of trying a fake field goal, and not just on a 4th and 2 or a 4th and inches, it's on a 4th and 5 from the 8-yard line. It's a pretty significant chunk, and you go out there with your punter and you're throwing to your starting center who's in double coverage. I just didn't like the play call at all. I think that, in a big Sunday night game where, you're trying to make your stake in the playoffs, you're trying to go for a playoff run, you have to be able to get on the board in a game like that. When the other team is going to be scoring points too, you can't come away on a great drive too. They drove right down the field. Colt McCoy looked good. The running game was there. So, and that's not going to happen a lot in these games with our offense. So you got to come away with points there, I think. And I don't mind the aggressive approach because I did like the second time they went for it. I thought that was a more manageable situation, 4th and 2, running the ball with Wayne Gallman. I thought that was fine. But I think that first decision to go for it, I think really changed the momentum of this game. I think it could have been a lot different if it was a one-score game later in the game. So I think that definitely had a big part to do with why we were down so much later in the game. And then you mentioned the loss of Bradberry, but also Darnay Holmes, our starting slot corner. That has a lot to do with it. Our secondary obviously was getting torn apart by Baker all game. I think Kevin Stefanski did a good job of mixing in the play action to get Baker those open throws with the open throwing lanes. So I think Baker really carved us up, and I think it had a lot to do with, obviously missing Bradberry and Darnay Holmes. And we stepped up to the challenge against the run, but like I said, it didn't really matter. Baker and Kevin Stefanski's game plan was to, carve us up because, we weren't really expecting that. But Baker's been playing well. You got to give him a lot of credit. The past month, he's been looking really good. So, and then lastly, it doesn't matter how good our defense is. If we're not able to reach 20 points, we haven't reached 20 points in the last 4 weeks, which is despicable. The only team that scored less than us at this point in the league is the Jets. So the offense has to get better. Obviously, like Joe said, we need a playmaker on the outside. Obviously, without Saquon, it hurts, and we need more consistency from the O-line. So if we have any chance to make the playoffs in these last 2 weeks, we're gonna need to step it up from our offense for sure because the defense is doing their part right now.
Now, Ovi, do you think at this point, after Sunday night's game, is the playoffs realistic? Is getting that top seed in the NFC East realistic for the Giants?
Right now, I mean, our heaviest task right now is getting by the Ravens. That's their next game, and then we close out with the Cowboys. It's pretty hard. We're gonna need some help. We're gonna need Washington to lose a game and the Giants to win out in order for the Giants to make it. There is a possibility, but you have to get by the Ravens, which the Ravens turned on the switch, and now they're getting hot at the right time, getting ready for the playoffs. So it's very hard to predict. I mean, what type of Giants team are we going to see this weekend? Is the offense going to score enough points to win? That is, I mean, look at the defense. The defense did what they're supposed to do. They only gave up 20 points against the Browns, is what I had predicted, but the offense did not produce. So, I don't know, Jace. To be honest with you, We got to score, man. We got to score.
Now, I mean, we did have Freddie Kitchens filling in for Jason Garrett. What did you think of the offensive play calling, Zay?
Actually, I thought it was actually rather good. When you think about it, it's not really Freddie Kitchens' offense. You're calling another person's offense, and you're trying to get a feel for the game at the same time. So that could be a bit difficult when you're not really familiar with the plays other than like practice and whatnot. But I think they offensively, I think they called it a good game. I just think, again, like other guys pointed out, they were a little too aggressive on offense. There were times I think they could have settled for the field goal, made it a closer game. Probably could have went to a half at 13-12, which would have made it a much more interesting game in the second half. But, we just didn't. We decided to be way more aggressive. But I think the offense, I think the play calling was great. To me, I think the problem was I think the Giants need an edge rusher. Without an edge rusher, you're really starting to see the effects of how a running quarterback can really destroy your offense. They're getting outside the pocket. There's no contain. Running backs are, they're getting to the edge. We're not setting the edge at all. We have a great interior D line, but at some point we're going to have to fill that outside with some outside pass rushing. I don't think this team will turn the corner on defense.
All right. Now, I know, Joe, you were a big advocate for trick plays. We obviously saw a couple of those last on Sunday. What did you think of that?
Look, I liked it. I liked the aggressiveness. I liked the idea that he took Jason Garrett's playbook and he tried to be aggressive and he tried to do some things. And look, if they had worked, Freddie Kitchens would be a genius.
Yeah.
But he's Freddie Kitchens, so things went the way they went. Here's the most interesting thing I think that came out. Look, the Giants lost the game they needed to win, and the Jets won a game they needed to lose, which has to make you feel good about the direction of this franchise. I said before the year I wanted them to go 5-11, get a top 5, 6, 7 pick. Right, have some idea whether Daniel Jones was a franchise quarterback or not. See the defense get better and improve, and learn how to win games. And they did all of those things. And they're still in position to get a really high draft pick. I think you look at the season, we had hope for so long, and whether the miracle gets pulled out or not, I'm so happy with the way everything worked out this year. If the Giants miss the postseason, this will be the most optimistic I've been in years in missing the postseason. This conversation Trevor and I had on Keys to the City, specifically this. You can look at this Giant season and the idea that they're playing meaningful football at Christmas time and say, if I told you going into the season that we'd be here, you wouldn't think we'd have a losing record, I'm sure, but you'd be feeling really good about things just to see the way this team's developed. When we've seen a healthy Daniel Jones, the turnover is certainly an issue, but beyond that, I think this guy's got the right tools to be the right quarterback for the New York Giants. And I know Trevor likes to get all crazy when I say things like this. What I mean to say is I think Daniel Jones is the right fit for what the Giants need to do going forward. And that's obviously getting Saquon Barkley back on the field, getting him back involved in the running and the passing games, using Daniel Jones's legs when you need to. I want to see more design run plays, and I want to see more of these trick plays in Jason Garrett's playbook. And next year, when everybody back and healthy, maybe Deontay Smith out there at the 1 or whoever it might be, I think that this football team will start scoring points, and it'll be a better team. And this whole season, to me, the ups and downs and the misery and the good times and the bad, it will all have been worth it.
Now, I know, Joe, you against the Cardinals, you said your big takeaway was the definite need for a number 1 wide receiver. And, I mean, you spoke about that already a little bit with this game as well. For me, the big takeaway from this game with the Browns is the need for an edge rusher because – no one was getting to Baker Mayfield, not a lot of pressure, and statistically, he is one of the better quarterbacks. The gap between when he is pressured and not pressured is very, very big. Now, my question for you, Sean, is looking forward to the draft, do the Giants go after that edge rusher, or do they go for a number 1 wide receiver in the first round?
I would probably lean towards the receiver right now because at least the defense, at least we can scheme ways to get, guys like Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence's sacks from the inside. Obviously, we need some presence at the edge rush, but right now, Lorenzo Carter, O'Shane Zimenez, and Kyler Fackrell are top 3 edge rushers out for the year for the season. So, I mean, we're going to get them back. Obviously, they're not the superstar pass rusher that we would want, but I think that going with the receiver, just looking at the offense right now, we don't have that number 1 receiver that we can rely on. Shepard's a decent third down receiver. He's a good possession receiver, but he's not that game breaker for you. And Darius Slayton, we've seen him at times, obviously be a burner and be that deep threat, but other times he's been super inconsistent. I haven't seen really a big play from Darius Slayton in a lot of weeks now. He's really been he's kind of vanished from the offense down the stretch. So we definitely need that number 1 receiver. And this draft, I know I've been looking at some of the mock drafts and stuff. It's a pretty weak class for edge rushers. I know you probably know a lot more about this, Jace, because you do more college football, but there's not a lot of, premier edge rushers. And I know there's the one dude from Miami who's pretty good, but I think there's definitely more to pick from the receiver crowd. So if I were to think, I would either go receiver right now or maybe a cornerback, because other than James Bradberry, I think we still need that outside corner. So I would lean receiver, but you definitely got to look at all options here.
I also think the Giants should look offense and throw a ton of money to Yannick, who will be a free agent after the season. I'd rather see. I would rather see a proven veteran edge rusher, a guy that know's been there, done that, than to bring some young. I mean, again, who would you even get at this point in this draft? I don't know that anybody really jumps to mind. You could probably find some pretty decent guys, 2nd or 3rd round, I would bet. I think offense is – look, the Giants don't score points in a league where you score points.
Bingo.
That's the biggest problem, and I know they keep throwing draft picks at it, but they're getting closer. You got to start scoring points, and as much as an edge rusher would certainly help, having a big play receiver would certainly keep you on the field longer and keep the defense off the field more, and just by virtue of that, you could blitz more, and you'd still be in better shape. So to me, it's got to be one of the stud receivers. I don't know that there's a ton of great receivers in the free agent market that I would want to give a ton of money to. So just from that standpoint, once again, my thought is draft a receiver and sign an edge rusher.
All right. Now,
no, Zay says no.
Zay?
That's fine. Zay.
I can agree with some points, but I kind of disagree. I feel like an edge rusher is really what's killed the Giants, not having an edge rusher. I feel like the last game, offense did a pretty good job of staying on the field and having long drives and keeping the defense off as long as possible. But without the edge rusher, Baker just walked down the field basically on us every time. Every time he got the ball, he walked down the field like it was nothing. The Giants weren't able to contain him. He got out the pocket. He rolled out. He made plays. He extended plays. They need an edge rusher. It's just simple as that. I agree with you. There's nothing in the draft. I would probably call down to Texas and see if, J.J. Watt's available, since they trade anybody. But at this point, I do believe that the edge rusher is probably the biggest thing killing them. They do need a receiver, but if you can, I don't know.
I think the one that come into mind right now, if they were to draft a defensive end, it'll be Patrick Jones from Pittsburgh. I mean, this guy's had a huge success this year with Pittsburgh, jumping from not knowing who he was. He already got 9 sacks this season. For the minimum games that's been playing for Pittsburgh, I think he is the best edge rusher right now. Or is that him or Chris Rumpf from Duke? I'm sure Jones knows him very well. I think one of those two could be picked up in that if, for some odd reason, Gettleman is able to make some trades or pick up free agency in the wide receivers. So,
are you assuming Gettleman's there?
Well, for the most part, things are looking positive. I mean, listen, if anybody thought that the Giants were going to be finishing in a winning record, 12-4 or something like that, you're mistaken. I mean, I predicted them going 8-8, but there's a lot of positivities going in to prepare ourselves for next season.
There's a lot of breaks too. Let's be honest. Dak Prescott's still in Dallas. That team's probably the team winning the division right now. They're loaded on offense. Even if their defense sucks, we've seen in this league, with the Seahawks, especially if you could score enough points, you can win a lot of games. I honestly think Dallas would probably be the number one team if Dak was still playing right now. That offense to me is just way too loaded at receiver for them not to be number one.
Oh, okay. Well, that just kind of goes against your point for getting an edge rusher if they're so stacked on offense. And
right, you want to lose
the Giants. Yeah.
Look, I'm just saying the way they're built, the way the Giants are built, the Giants need an edge rusher to win. Dallas has built their team to win on big points. That's how it works. They built up the offense. They didn't focus much on defense, and we see it every week.
I definitely agree with you there. I know that we need somebody to rush and put more pressure on the quarterback, but the other side of the ball, we need playmakers, and that's what Joe has kept saying, that we don't have a playmaker that will get us that first down, that give us that spark to just run over the defense. You see what I'm saying?
We've never had a great receiver in the Giants. We've had good receivers. We've had your Plaxicos and Tumors. They're good receivers, but they're not Randy Moss level receivers is what I'm trying to get across.
You don't think
the Giants have been a run first team for a very, very long time.
But if you don't have a good, solid number one receiver that you can throw the football down, again, I don't need Jerry Rice. Slow down. I don't need Jerry Rice in New York is my point. But I do need a guy, and if you look at the history of the Giants, as long as I've been alive, Lionel Manuel in 1986, Bobby Johnson in 90, you need a guy.
Who did they have with Victor?
That you could throw the football to, and they don't have it right now. They don't have it. There's not anybody to go to on 3rd and 5 right now that he's going to catch the ball.
Shepard is your 35 guy. He's your 35 guy. He's your slot guy.
Well, he's on all my fantasy teams, and he sucks. He hasn't done a damn thing.
He's playing a role that he's not. He was a number 2
well, then
receiver.
Get a guy in there who should be in the role.
I don't understand how Freddie Odell made him a number 1 receiver.
What are you talking about then? So why would that be the guy if he's miscast in the role already?
Look. He is your slot receiver. He's supposed to be a third down guy. You need a guy for first and second. I agree with that point. But I think the edge rusher is more important for the Giants right now. This team is built to win on RPO. That's how the offense works. They don't need a superstar receiver.
I didn't say a superstar receiver. Right. I'll repeat that. But I do need a receiver I can count on. It's not Evan Ingram. It's not Sterling Shepard. It's not Golden Tate, who always wants the goddamn ball. But where is he? I never see him in crunch time. It's never open. I need a guy I can count on that can bail my quarterback out. All the good ones have a guy. Every other team's got one, not the Giants.
I think you nailed it on there. You're absolutely right, Joe.
Can't score 6 points and win in the NFL.
No, you can't.
Maybe in the 30s you could. You can't do it in 2020.
No, I agree. But I said when you build a team like the Giants have always been a run-first team, you can get good receivers. They don't need to be superstars. You can get good receivers and still win.
They have good receivers, and they're not winning.
The Giants have always had the identity of run first and having great edge rushers. We've always had them.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that, though.
40 years I've
not run. We have not been able to rush the passer. Those are the two things the Giants have not been able to do good the last 4 years.
Well, they're rushing the passer very well up the middle. They don't have an edge rush. That's correct.
The middle doesn't do anything for you when you guys are running. When you're in a league with guys running out the pocket, you got these quarterbacks running 4.4s and 4.3s, running up the middle. That's not going to stop anything no more. You're not stopping a Lamar Jackson because you could stop up the middle. It's not happening.
So throw Yannick a 5-year, $100 million deal, and let's be done with it already.
5-year, $100 million deal.
All right. I mean, you did bring up Lamar Jackson. Zay, let's talk about it. The Giants go to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Zay, can they shut down Lamar Jackson's and this big running attack with J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram?
Absolutely not. The best thing we can hope for is that Washington loses with Dwayne Haskins and we can win it in the next week. I don't think this defense is built to stop this offense. I just don't see it. I apologize. I'm a huge Giants fan. I love them just as much as you guys do. This is just not a favorable matchup for the Giants this week. I honestly don't see this ending well for the Giants.
You see it the same way, Sean?
I disagree. I think this is a very favorable matchup for the Giants defense. What do the Ravens do best? They run the ball. What do the Giants defense do best? We stop the run the best. So I think even last week when I said, try and force Baker to throw the ball, I can even at least admit, that Baker is a better thrower, pure talented thrower than Lamar Jackson is. Even though, at times Lamar has these great throws, he doesn't do it consistently. And I think with our cover 2 defense, I think we could disguise him, make some disguises and really, trick him. I think the run game definitely will have success just because they have really successful backs and Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, obviously. And as of recently, they've been doing it really well. But I think that, the Giants, what they do best is they stop the run. They have Blake Martinez, obviously, a tackling machine. And, they stuff the A through C gap, every gap. There's always a guy. So I like our chances to stop the run. But on the other side of the ball, that's what I really don't like is the Giants offense going against this Ravens defense. They have 2 really good cornerbacks. And like we've been talking about most of the show, we don't have a receiver that can win against them. And on top of that, they also stop the run pretty well. They have a very, very physical front seven, very big front seven, some really big dudes like Brandon Williams and Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell, obviously, who love to stop the run. So that's the matchup I really don't like. I'd be surprised if we score anywhere near 20 points in this game. I could see somewhere around 10 points. I think that's where we're really going to struggle in this game is on offense. But in terms of stopping the Ravens, offense, I think we'll do a better job with that. Even though Lamar is, I think, the shiftiest quarterback we've seen all year, even a better runner than Kyler Murray is. So I think that's going to be a problem, but I don't see us scoring any points against this Ravens defense.
Well, I mean, the last game we saw it against the Browns, when you don't put pressure on Baker Mayfield, he was able to pick the Giants apart. And last season, everyone likes to talk about Lamar Jackson's mobility. Last season, he led the league in touchdowns from the pocket. Joe, how can the Giants disrupt the pocket and get Lamar Jackson out of the pocket so he can't have time to make those decisions in the air?
Well, that's what the issue's going to be, obviously. I think Sean and Zay were both right. I mean, I think the Giants are in trouble here because while I agree with Sean, they're going to stuff the rush. They're going to struggle with contain on the edge rush. And it's going to allow Lamar to do things that Baker could only dream of. So that's a major concern. I don't think James Bradberry's back. Is that correct?
He is back. He was activated.
He doesn't have to. The quarantine's over for Bradberry. I mean, to me, that's good news. That'll definitely favor the Giants. But again, I just feel like, Sean, you also just brought it up. How many points are they scoring in this game against a defense that's been playing a lot better of late? So, again, this is just like with the Cardinals and the Hawks before that, where I said you don't want to get into a shootout with these teams because you'll lose that you have no chance of winning. So you sort of, I mean, again, the idea that you're sitting back in a zone is as much to just not get beat with big plays. Try to keep it in front of you. The other thing, I mean, you're going to have to blitz. You're going to have to make things happen and create. If you put pressure on a guy like Baker will blow it. And I know everybody loves Lamar Jackson. Same thing. And I'll say it about Tom Brady and really any quarterback. When you put pressure on him and you put him on his back a whole bunch, the decision making goes out the window. And the fact that the Giants struggle with pass rush is going to be a big problem here, and it's going to make for a long day. So if they don't figure some things out, again, having Bradberry back, maybe we'll see more corner blitzing. Maybe we'll see more safety blitzes. I think the Giants could put themselves in a position to hang in this game. I just don't feel like they're going to score more than 12 points.
Now, Ovi, what does the Giants offense have to do to put points on the board against this Ravens defense?
They got to catch the ball. They got to be open. I mean, come on, let's be real here, man. It's all about execution. If you can't execute, it's not going to happen. And then it goes back to the coach's decision. All right, I know they were doing some new things and stuff like that. Jason Garrett should be back. I'm telling you right now, they got to execute. They got to score at every opportunity. I don't care how many field goals they do. If they can't score a touchdown, they got to put points on the board. Because I'm guarantee. I think we learned our lesson last week against the Browns for not containing the quarterback. Yes, we could hang with the wide receivers. We could hang with the tight ends. We could lock them down. But we need to stop Lamar Jackson. If we could contain him and put some pressure on him, I got a feeling that the Giants can't pull it out. But we have to score. Bottom line. I know I'm asking too much, man. I know. But guess what? I am superstitious. I am. The Baltimore Ravens has not won more than 3 games in a row. All right? Ever. Not this season. Not this season.
This is what you're basing it on.
I'll take it.
I'm not basing on nothing. I'm just telling you that the Ravens, and look who the teams that they defeated. They defeated the Cowboys.
It's a strict league, man.
They defeated the Jaguars.
If they stop them,
Listen. Listen.
If I guess the numbers
I'm not
right
done yet, homie. I ain't done yet. Come on now. The Cowboys, the Jaguars, and of course they did a shootout with the Browns. But think about it. The Cowboys, the Jaguars, they don't have the same defense as the Giants' defense. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but they got the firepower on offense.
You know how many firepower offenses we win against this season? Everything's been close except for one game, and that was against the 49ers. I'm just saying. It's facts. We can kick the shit out of that ball and kick ourselves to a win. You damn right, Heck Love.
I mean,
you damn right.
First to edit himself, and you fill in the blank.
Oh my God! All
You're
right.
censoring yourself in the comments, Hector.
I mean, that's right. Graham Gano's been the best player on the team this year. He's been the only consistent player.
But he's not a Pro Bowler, I guess. But
I don't know how.
But Dolphin Clippers' hands is.
And one more thing before we move on. The Giants have 2 games left. They know they got to win out to make the playoffs.
You're right.
All right, and that's more motivation. I know the Baltimore Ravens are almost in the same boat. They got to win for the seeding and everything else. But the Giants, I'm telling you, maybe everyone's right. Maybe it's a 7-9 team that will make it to the playoffs. I don't know. But, hey, we have a chance. We could do it.
You just need to win one. And Washington.
No, we got to win 2. We got to win out.
We
have to win out. And not to think ahead, excuse me, but the last game against the Cowboys will be at home. So let's do this. Go Blue!
All right. Now, before we move on, let's make it official. Joe, who you taking to win this game?
I am taking the Ravens 24-12.
Sean?
Yeah, it's pretty close to what I had, 24-13.
Zay?
Y'all was better than me. I got the Ravens at like a 34-6 type of game.
Ovi?
I decided I want to opt out for next season.
What?
No.
What? COVID opting out from the podcast? What?
No, I said in an R&J show that the Baltimore Ravens, the way things were, I was frustrated. I said it was going to be 23-3 Ravens. But, you know, I'm going for the blue blood here. Blue Bloods. You ready? Are you ready?
Yep.
17-14 Giants.
All right.
I like that. I'm obviously going to pick the Giants like I always do. I do think Coach Judge is going to get this team riled up and ready. I saw a little spark of that amped up Giants at the beginning of the game last week, and then it slowly died down.
I want to live in the movie you two live in.
And I mean, one of the things that happened the past couple weeks, obviously Daniel Jones getting hurt and playing in the Cardinals game. The against the Browns, the whole like COVID situation, coaches and players having to get out. I think the Giants are going to come prepared. They're going to know what they have to do. They're going to stop the run because that's the big thing. That's what the Ravens have lived off the past couple. This streak is they've been establishing the run. Giants are really good at stopping the run. I think they're going to come prepared. I think it's not going to be like last week. The defense isn't going to play passive. The defense isn't going Joey,
Wait, are the Ravens not going to be prepared for this game for some reason?
Apparently, they're taking a week
Hey,
off.
can you let me
Or
finish?
are the Giants going to be extra prepared? I'm just curious
No,
what
I
the
think
preparation
Joe
levels
Judge-
are looking like.
I think Joe Judge is going to light a fire under this team, and they're going to go back to the game plan that was working for them. Last week, they for some reason said, hey, let's make the offense win us the game and the defense not lose us the game. Then they're going to switch it back, and the defense is going to win them the game, and the offense is going to not lose them the game. I think the defense is good enough to keep this Ravens team that all they need to do to succeed is establish the run. That's the Ravens recipe for success. It's like the Titans. They just want to establish the run, and then they can open the rest of their offense up. I think they're going to stop it. No, yeah, you're right.
I can't believe
1,486 to 3.
I think
What Friday night lights TV show are you living in that you think they're gonna rile them up?
Yeah, he must have played.
Overcome talent.
He played the Madden game.
no. I mean, it's true. They're still in it. They are still in it. I did my state of the Giants. There's no need to give up hope. I know these past 2 weeks have been rough for Giants fans and the Giants, but the Giants are still alive, and the Giants are still in it, and they can still go out there, go into Baltimore, take a win.
Somebody give him a pump, man. He's out of control right now.
Some oxygen before
you breathe. Give him the pump. Put the fan on.
Jace, we were optimistic because the Giants were on a run of 8 games where they were playing really well. They'd won 4 in a row. They slow down. They're playing all right. I mean, they were playing well. If you look around the NFL, the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Saints are the only teams that have played 8-game stretches as good as the one the Giants had. They all walked away with wins in all of those stretches. The Giants ended up splitting those games. Okay? And that's the difference between the Giants and everybody else. The Giants started the season off so poorly at 1-7 that, I mean, this has been almost insurmountable to where, I mean, every loss is devastating. And back-to-back losses are exceptionally devastating. And your starting quarterback still being questionable is a huge problem. Colt McCoy's not good. We all know that. I mean, I think I said something like if he threw for more than 175 yards, it's because the Giants lost. And he went for a paltry 221. And they lost. And didn't even score. So I'd love to get in your head and see what you're hopeful for. I can't imagine a scenario short of, and I hate to say this, but Lamar injuring himself on the first play of the game for the Giants to have a real chance to win this ball game.
Oh, he needs to take another dump again.
I'm telling you what's going to happen. They match up well. Look at the past couple games. The Ravens, they've had success when establishing the run. The Giants, even last week, even against the Browns, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt couldn't get it going.
What was that final score? And what was that final score?
On Baker Mayfield
and what was the final score?
I understand that, but still, one of the best running
good
attacks
teams
in the
ways
NFL.
To win. The Giants aren't that good yet. I don't believe playoffs should dictate the Giants' season. Like you said, we started off terrible. The fact that we're even in this position is a blessing. We should be happy that we have something to enjoy and watch. But playoffs or not should not dictate how good or bad the Giants' season was.
No, I'm not going to accept that. This whole show, we've talked about how great, how I'm happy that they're going up and they're moving in the right direction. I'm not going to accept that. This Giants team is still alive. This Giants team is still alive, and they can make the playoffs. They're going in the right direction, but this could be.
All right,
Jace.
So bottom line is, and this game is a major factor because the Baltimore Ravens are playing for the playoffs. The Giants are doing the same thing. Giants is trying to win the division. They got to win the next 2 games. For the Ravens, they got a lot of pressure also because Miami's in front of them, and they need to win to secure a 7th spot because this season is the top 7 per each conference are going to the playoffs. So right now they're tied with Miami at number 8, and they need to win the next 2 games as well. So it's going to be tough, but you're right. Good teams find a way to win at the end, and the Giants are not there yet. However, if we maintain the Ravens to a low-score game, control them in the first half, we have a chance to win. And that's a long shot. But I'm going to take from you, Jace. Jace.
They just last week put up 47 points on a team you just scored 6 points against.
Absolutely.
That's a big, you can't ignore that.
You're right, but the Browns defense does not stop the run like the Giants defense.
Apparently they do, because they stopped us on 4th and 2.
Yeah, they were.
I don't know what game. Were you watching the game? They stopped us every time.
Do you think Wayne Gallman is as good as Mark Ingram? And you think Colt McCoy is as good as Lamar Jackson running?
We do know that the Ravens execute better than the Giants right now.
Yeah.
No, but if it's a 41-point differential, Jace, then there's zero chance the Giants are winning, is essentially what you just pointed out.
No, he pointed out that there's more talent on the Ravens who they're going to be playing this week. Like, what are you saying to us? Yes,
I'm not.
By the way, Daniel Jones is starting this game. I just read it. Joe Judge says he's committed to Daniel Jones this week, next week, and forever. He's the starting quarterback forever, according to Joe Judge, as of right now.
He's healthy.
See what happens when you take Eli for granted?
I'm buying all that Joe Judge is selling. I'm gonna be this crazy guy. I'm gonna be the Giants guy, because there is still hope until the final whistle blows of the final minute of the final second of the final quarter. I'm going to have faith, and I'm going to believe that the Giants can get a win. And, I mean, we talked about it with the Seahawks. A lot of people counted it out, but they match up well with this Ravens team.
Jace, I agree with you. I like Judge just as much as you do. But do you realize 2 of his decisions this year has cost the Giants big? One being playing Daniel Jones against a team he should not have been playing against because he was not healthy against the Cardinals. And 2, being as aggressive as he was last week for no apparent reason when you take the field goals and you got a 1-point game at half. Do you realize his judgment calls has put the Giants in the hole that they're in?
And do you realize that it's still Judge's first season as a head coach?
Mm-hmm. You gotta accept growing.
If you accept players, rookies, to make mistakes, you gotta accept the head coach as well. Joe's like, oh my God, no.
That's a great point.
But you're right.
That's a great
I'm
point.
right. Am I right?
What do you mean we have to accept it? What does that even mean? I don't understand. I'm not
You
following
don't
the
understand?
logic here.
What?
Not exactly that we have to accept it.
That he wanted to be aggressive?
You just have to understand. You have to understand where it's coming from.
He's a 38-year-old, still first-time head coach. He's going to have his growing pains, and even I agree, Isaiah, that last week it was questionable call, but I don't think it really I don't think that it changed the outcome of the game though.
If that game is 12-13 at the half, that is a completely different way you play the second half.
Yeah,
you manage it completely different. But when you put them in the hole that you have them, now they're coming out throwing the ball, like Joe says, with a quarterback who isn't that good at throwing. And you don't have receivers for that.
I agree. It changed the game plan for sure. It changed what the Giants had to do in the second half, but I don't think that the Giants had any chance of winning that game, even if they get those 2 field goals, because they weren't going to get it in the end zone. I mean, that's how they had to win the game, is to punch it in the end zone. They obviously weren't getting that done. So I agree. I agree that he's had some mishaps, but like Ovi said, he's a 38-year-old.
7 field goals to win that game.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It would have been, definitely a closer game, but
I will take 7 field goals over a loss. I'll give Graham Gano all the points.
We still would have lost either way. That's all I'm trying to say.
All right. I'm getting.
I like the energy though, Jace. I do agree.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
it's a week-to-week league, and you never know.
Chase, if he benches him for the Cardinals,
this is the most shocking thing I've ever seen.
Hector knows what he's talking about.
All right, he said he kind of agrees with you. Calm down.
Challenge.
He said kind of like you made 1 or 2 decent points. He agreed.
Hey, I'll give you good news. So I can make you happy. You ready? Should the Giants defeat the Ravens and Miami wins, the Ravens are eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh, so they're not going to be motivated at all or prepared,
yeah.
according to Jace.
He took the week off.
I didn't say that.
The Giants are going to be
basis-
prepared and they're going to win the game. Well, what does
it's
that
gonna
mean
be the
for the
motivation.
Ravens?
Those decide
Ravens
that
are just sort of hanging around.
basis for my argument for the Giants is they match up well with this Ravens.
The Ravens have been
offense.
practicing the Ray Lewis dance all
No.
week, apparently.
All right, enough. I'm just losing my
don't-
No,
brain right
Ray
now.
Lewis is going to be at the game. You'll
They don't-
see.
They don't have Judge's rah-rah speech. That's what it is. He's going to fire them up before the game, like Jay says, right? Because that works.
All right,
I would
you guys
imagine,
keep
I would
talking
imagine
about
John
that. None
Harbaugh's
of you have
probably a
challenged the
rah-rah
fact
guy.
that the run game, that the Giants can stop the run game, and that's where's that? I'm
Jace,
saying
they
they
can
match
stop
up well.
the run game. We already
Okay.
said that.
All right,
Everyone
and
concedes
the
they can
Ravens-
stop the run
And
game.
the basis for the Ravens' running streak is their win streak is their success running the football. None of you challenge that.
but
They
you know,
match up
hold
well.
on.
Not the
You know
extended
Lamar's
plays by
thrown
Lamar
21
Jackson.
touchdowns, right?
It's not the extended plays by
Yeah,
Lamar
because they
Jackson.
can set up the run.
You know he's also run for 800 yards, right? And 7 more touchdowns?
All right, which quarterback has run on the Giants that much?
Well, Baker did last week.
Yeah,
But mostly they just get in the pocket and pick the Giants apart. So I don't know. Is that what you prefer? Or
And then when he left the pocket, he did the same. He rolled out and did the same. He
Yeah.
just hit Jarvis on the run.
I'm just
And another thing that got us also
right
in the
now.
game was the play action passes. It did kill us. It really did.
One more point I want to bring up, and this goes back to something that Zay's totally wrong about, the idea of a number one sort of a big stud receiver. There were 2 plays in the end zone that I think if it's any other team and any other receiver, it's pass interference. When it happens to the Giants, no flags ever come out because the Giants receivers don't have the respect of referees in the NFL. Plain and simple. That's why in 2020 NFL, you do need a big-time number one guy. He doesn't have to have 120 catches, and he won't for the Giants, but you need a guy who has respect in the league, somebody like Plexico Burress did, because, I mean, it's notably absent.
He wasn't a big name. He just had a great physique. He was 6'5".
He was a great possession receiver, and anytime Eli needed to complete a pass, it went to Plexico's hands, and Plexico didn't drop him.
Or Toomer.
He had the height and the hands, so he shot himself.
Let's forget Toomer was there.
I love Amani Toomer. Again, you're talking about when I say, but that's the kind of guys I'm talking about. Again, I'm not saying it's got to be Jerry Rice. It doesn't have to be like Randy Moss, but it's got to be somebody as reliable as the guys we're talking about. Guys like Amani Toomer, who you knew when Amani Toomer got the ball thrown, he was going to catch it and he was going to get a first down. He wasn't going to catch it and fall a yard short. That's what the Giants don't have. Also, a big receiver that can go one-on-one with a small corner and catch a ball over his head. Haven't had that in a long time.
Metcalf, I said that. Nobody wanted him. He can't run routes, apparently, right?
all right. Okay.
When you're that fast, yeah, and that tall, you don't need to run routes. Just jump over people. That works too. I'm with
Unless
you.
it's Bradberry. But let's move on to the CMG Sports game of the week. The Sunday night game. The Titans go to Lambeau Field in Green Bay to take on the Packers. Joe, who's coming out victorious here?
Oh, boy. Well, I'll tell you what. I hate the way Aaron Rodgers has been playing all season, I'll be honest. I think despite the usual MVP-type numbers, something doesn't feel right with me and Green Bay. I love the Titans. I feel like this is the kind of year where the Titans are doing everything right. Again, when we talk about run-first teams, A.J. Brown's a pretty good one guy when they need him. And he comes up big week in and week out. And don't sleep on Ryan Tannehill when you start talking about best quarterbacks in football, because the guy's quietly put up a superior year to most. I think the Titans win this game. I think they do it obviously on the strength of another big Derrick Henry kind of day. So I'm going to take the Titans at Lambeau in an upset.
Sean?
Yeah, I agree with Joe on this one. I'm going to go with the Titans. I think that they're going to get Derrick Henry going often and early against a bad Packers run defense. I think that they're going to take advantage of that. And then once they get the run game going, like Joe said, they can get the play action going to A.J. Brown and Corey Davis, two really good receivers. And Tannehill, ever since he's been entered into the starting lineup for the Titans, he's been absolutely balling out. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He's mobile in the pocket, and he's got a really strong arm. So I like them a lot. The Titans defense hasn't been great this year by any means, and they're definitely going to struggle with the Packers receivers and their passing game. But I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game between the two. I think it's going to be a really exciting Sunday night game. But I'm going to take the Titans by a score 34-27.
I like that score too, Sean.
Sounds
Hector
good.
stole my thunder on that one. He did. Hector stole that from me. Because I was going to say the same thing, man. The Packers, they look suspect when they go against playoff contenders. The Titans is fighting for first place in the AFC South. They're currently tied with Indianapolis. And then you got the Packers already clinched. They're still, playing for that first-round bye week. But if Henry could protect the ball and run, because a couple of weeks ago he was fumbling. So hopefully he could secure that ball. And I got a feeling the Titans can't pull it away and give Green Bay a loss. And besides, the Titans play better on the road than when they do at home.
Zay?
Well, all that is true. And you guys I had to check my notes to make sure I was going with my pick still. You almost convinced me to change it, but now I'm going with the Packers in this one. Lambeau, December. I'm taking the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers has just been playing lights out lately. I like the way he's been playing. I thought he wasn't going to come into the league this year and do nothing. They didn't do anything in the draft. They added another quarterback. I thought he was on his way out the door, and he's proved me wrong and everybody else wrong in the league. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in this one.
Yeah, of course Green Bay's going to do good. They've been playing teams they're below 500. Of course they're going to play good. Come on, man. Be real.
Come on. He's got one receiver, and he throws to him every play, and it works.
Oh, my God. Please stop.
Come on.
He doesn't have one receiver.
And besides, it's going to be nice and warm in Green Bay. So what about Green Bay weather? Get out of here with that.
Nice and warm.
Listen, I agree with all you, but Zay, I'm going Titans. I think we're going to see a similar we're going to see a similar matchup to what we saw when the Packers faced the Niners in the NFC Championship game last year. They're just going to run the ball, pound the ball, eat up the clock, control the game. Tannehill might have less than 10 passing attempts. They'll be for big gains with A.J. Brown and Corey Davis, but because they are studs. But I do like Derrick Henry. He's just going to establish it. They're going to eat up the clock. They're going to do what the Giants usually need to do to win. Keep this defense off the field because this defense is not that good for the Titans. And I expect Aaron Rodgers to light it up, but I think they will keep Aaron Rodgers off the field as long as they can with that Derrick Henry ground game. And he will eat, and the Titans will come out victorious. I know Ovi's got to go set up for all 4 downs. We will see you there. Make sure you guys tune in right after this show for all 4 downs. So take care, Ovi. But now,
that means I'll be up one game.
All right. Okay. I mean,
I'll be up one game on you guys.
I mean, you got a lot of work to bring back. Look at those win percentages. Look at those win percentages. Now, Joe, I believe it was you the other day that said 63% is an expert win percentage. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I did.
I am an expert. You guys are not.
I'm just about an expert.
But you're not. You're not.
Yeah.
Sonny wants to round up to the 63 mark and call it a day.
That's what we're gonna do here.
I'll let him have
We're
it.
gonna round up. We're gonna call me an expert.
All right, but I will say what we are not experts in, especially last week, is the best bets. Yeah. Starting off with myself. I mean, I at least had a push. last week with the Colts. They only won by 7 against the Texans. I thought the Texans were just going to back it up, move on to next season. But they showed a little bit of life, kept it a one-score game. But this week, I'm taking the Chargers, Justin Herbert against the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos can go into LA and beat Justin Herbert and the Chargers.
You got to get rid of that line. You just got to throw it away.
Nope. Justin Herbert lights him up because he looked fantastic Thursday night against the Raiders. He's going to continue that and dismantle this Broncos defense. Hey, I'll go out on a limb here. I will say the Chargers themselves will score over the 48.5. Now
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I got
crazy.
I got this game in my head as 27-21.
Uh-oh.
Okay. All right.
He's just being a
and I'll flip out, and you'll receive a call from me screaming at you, Joe, if that happens.
He's just messing with you at that point, yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe not. Joe has been the one with success this last week. That's not Joe. But, yeah, Joe won with his Bills pick against the Broncos. And now this week, Joe, you're taking the Rams against the Seahawks?
I'm going to take the Rams. They're going to come back, and they're going to beat the Seahawks after that humiliating loss to the Jets last week.
Okay, I like that a lot. So you saw the Jets as a look-ahead game?
It was definitely a look-ahead game, and that's what happens when you have look-ahead games. Again, the team trying to lose, you actually made them win. If that's not motivation to get your act together after that humiliation, I think, again, to me, it's just been that weird kind of year. Of course, they're going to go from losing to the Jets to beating the Seahawks. That's how it goes in 2020 NFL.
All right, now let's get to the cavalcade of losses that we had with the best bets. Starting off with you, Sean. Rough. You took the over in the Packers-Panthers. It did not pay off. But now you think the Colts?
24 to I thought it hit like 43 points was the total.
Ooh,
yeah.
Awful. Yeah.
Yeah, two good offenses that I expected more from. But this week I'm going to be going with the Colts plus 1.5 or minus 1.5 against the Steelers. I think if you watch the Steelers the last 3 weeks, it's pretty easy bet. I think that I compare the Steelers to the Patriots from last year. They have an aging quarterback who's not that great. They started off with a really good start. The Patriots started 9-0. Steelers started 11-0. They have a historical defense that really isn't that great. They've just been playing an easy schedule. So I think they're the same exact team. And the Patriots lost in the first round last year. So I think they're very similar teams. I think the same thing is going to happen to the Steelers. They're going to continue to blow it down the stretch, and I think the Colts will win easily. The Steelers, as of the last 3 weeks, are one of the worst teams in football after starting 11-0. So that's my best bet of the week.
All right, now Zay, you went with the Bucks and Falcons under. It was a pretty high scoring game. Obviously, went over
by 8.
Yeah. So
didn't
now
that extra touchdown and 2-point conversion. What's up?
Hold on. Let's be honest. No one saw Atlanta coming out to a 27-0 lead. I don't think anyone saw that, and I damn sure didn't see the Bucks coming back from that neither. Or maybe I did. Looked like the Super Bowl again. But these are the risks you take when you go against the books, and the books know better than us, and I learned the hard way. But this week, I'm taking the 49ers. I think giving them 4.5 against the Cardinals is going to be more than enough. I think the 49ers have been playing excellent as of lately. I actually haven't been playing that bad considering what they have left. And just not a fan of the Cardinals, not really a believer in them, really.
But
I think the Cardinals again.
I mean, the Niners are starting C.J. Beathard, and they also just signed Josh Rosen because of all their QB issues.
And they just lost to the Cowboys. How are you going to say they're playing excellent?
I missed that. I apologize. I must have missed that. Oh.
All right, we'll put an asterisk next to this one.
Yeah, go back on that one. Look back on that one. Hold on.
I want to see how this one plays out.
Oh, well, whatever happens, there's still an asterisk. We'll put it.
Hold on. Maybe I was.
All right, well, but while you figure that out, OV had a really bad beat, picking the Eagles +6. They ended up losing by 7. Now he's taking the Titans against the Packers. I mean,
where am I? Oh, yeah.
4/5 of us agreed with the Titans taking it. And then Steve took the Bucks, didn't pay out. Closer game than people thought. He's doubling down on the Bucks against the Lions. I think that's a lot more favorable. When then Trev,
I got the Bucks winning this one by 9, so that's tough.
Ooh. And then Trev, Mr. SpongeBob Square Picks himself, who went and picked the Packers -8.5. That was an even worse beat than OV because they won by 8 points. So that's really, really rough with the half point off. But now, I mean, he might face the same problems that Zay had with the Falcons because he's picking the Chiefs -10.5. That's a big, big spread. So we will see.
No,
but now
he won't have the same problem. He won't have the same problem. Only the Falcons could do what they did. Blow a 27-point lead.
Still the Falcons, even though it's against the Chiefs. The Falcons.
I got the Chiefs winning that one 37-27, so I think he's in trouble.
2 weeks in a row off by a half a point. But let's get into fantasy locks. Well, let's take a look at last week. I mean, OV had the big winner with Jalen Hurts. I'm showing Trev how easy it is when you pick the square picks. So I obviously had to go with Josh Allen. Get me in second place. I don't feel good about it, but it got me second place. Zay came in Steve came in third. Kyler Murray. Then we got Travis Kelce with Zay. Robert Woods with Joe. And then a tough bottom at the battle for the bottom of the barrel. Austin Eckler edged you out, Sean, over Trevor with Devontae Adams. But now let's get into this week. Starting off with you, Joe. Who's your fantasy lock?
I don't remember, honestly. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my bad. We did a whole thing about this earlier today. I'm sorry I froze for a minute. I did earlier see the graphic, and I thought, hey, I'm glad there's a picture of Mark Andrews. He's my fantasy lock this week. Yeah, I think Mark Andrews is going to have a big game against the New York Giants. I think he's probably going to end up scoring a touchdown. Might be the only touchdown that the Ravens score, but I see him being very productive. The Giants typically do get into trouble when they play against top linebackers. I know the Giants definitely have a better secondary than in years past, but this is going to be the guy Lamar is going to look to get the ball to. I think with Bradberry back, I feel like the receivers aren't going to really offer much in the way of help for Lamar. So I think it's just going to really highlight Mark Andrews. And like I said, there's at least a touchdown in it for him this week, maybe even 2. I think Mark Andrews is definitely your fantasy lock of the week.
All right. Now, Sean, you're staying with tight end as well?
Yes, I'm going with the best tight end in the league and Travis Kelce. I've been terrible with the fantasy locks this year. It seems like every dude I pick only scores around 10 points. So I'm gonna have to go with the SpongeBob square pick, as you say. I'm gonna have to go with Travis Kelce to try and get in the leaderboard here and try and win this one. So yeah, Kelce, I'm going with.
And now, Zay, you're picking. You're riding off a little bit of what had Ovi's been picking the past couple of weeks. You're going with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, actually, now that I look at my notes where I messed up, I had my odds next to my fantasy lock. That's why I messed up. But Jalen Hurts is who I had, and he's been actually playing really well of late. And I think, again, he played really well. He's actually been the number one fantasy player, I believe, the last 2 weeks in a row. And I believe he's actually going to make it a third week in a row. So I'm going with Jalen Hurts this week, taking probably one of your SpongeBob square picks, if you want to call it. Go with Hurts in this one.
All right. And then Ovi went with Patrick Mahomes. Steve went with Derrick Henry. And now we got our first fantasy locks bet between me and Mr. SpongeBob Square Picks himself, Trevor Keys from Keys to the City.
It's terrible.
If I win with my pick, I have to wear an Ohio State shirt for all the shows I do during the week. That is Hard Hitting Wrestling Show. That is this. That is All Four Downs and Throwing Jabs. But if I win, he has to wear a Utah, the Utes back there, that banner. Oh, my camera's a little messed up. The Utah Utes shirt on his show. And Mr. SpongeBob SquarePix himself is copying me from last week, taking Josh Allen, but I raise him. One, he takes a Mountain West quarterback. I take a Pac-12 in my boy, the one I've been telling you guys about all year, even last year, Justin Herbert, baby. Joe, I know last week you became a believer a little bit in this man.
He definitely had a huge week. He definitely played really well. He's definitely, they come off that 45-0 game. They've had a couple of close games. They pulled out 2 wins. One of the things we talked about all year with this team was their inability to pull out games. So for me, I think if you're a Chargers fan, you have to admit I was right, but they figured it out, and they've now started to win all these close games. They've got the Broncos this coming week, and then they close things out with the Chiefs. So to me, I think if you're a Chargers fan, you got to be excited about that. You get a chance to watch your guy go up against Patty Mahomes in the last game of the season. I think it'll be fun for them to watch, because I think that while the Chargers certainly aren't going to win that game, it'll be a lot more competitive than it would have been earlier in the year. And now that you've got your team playing a lot better, the defense was garbage earlier this year. They vastly improved. Who knows? I'm not saying they're going to beat the Chiefs, but I bet you they'll make that game real interesting.
Yes, sir.
Does Mahomes play the last game of the year?
Maybe. And if he doesn't, then they definitely win it. And that's certainly feather in the cap.
Yeah,
you really say
Justin
that?
Herbert. Now, before we sign off.
Yeah. I'm from like the 1800s, apparently.
All right, before we sign off, I need your guys' input on this bet between me and Trevor Keys. Who will do better in fantasy, Joe? Josh Allen or Justin Herbert this week? Josh Allen against the Pats or Justin Herbert against the Broncos?
Herbert against the Broncos, to me, seems like the safer bet. Yeah, I think you're going to be all right. But I'll let you know, Trevor owes me a shirt wearing that's never happened. So we'll see if he pays up.
Sure it happens. Sean, who's going to win?
I'll go with Herbert. Broncos and Pats both have some pretty good secondaries, but I believe in Herbert. I've been saying all year that I think he's the rookie of the year. So I'll go with Joe's favorite, Justin Herbert.
Am I going to come out victorious here?
No, because you didn't take Jalen Hurts. But this is a tough one, honestly. Probably gonna say Josh Allen though. I feel like he's got the bigger game. Like you said, it's the game of the week. And I feel like he's going to come out and perform like it's the game of the week. So you might be in trouble this week.
All right. But that is going to wrap up, John, about the G-Men. Before we say adieu to you, this is brought to you by Clovercrest Media Group. Make sure you check out clovercrestmedia.com for this podcast, along with a plethora of other podcasts, not just sports, politics, comedy, true crime podcasts. Make sure you check it out at clovercrestmedia.com. And also make sure you check out this show on a plethora of different podcast platforms. I know we're on Amazon Music now, Stitcher, anything, anywhere you can get podcasts, John About the G-Men is. And for myself, Joe Aguirre, Zay, Sean Scanlon, and Ovi Muniz, take care. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
Guys.
Happy holiday.
Enjoy the game this
Festivus.
week. Yes, sir. Festivus for the rest of us. Enjoy the games this week, and we will see you next week for more Giants football. Peace out.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floater to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. But speaking of those Lakers, hold on. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.